Hey guys, so I hope you guys have had a damn good day. So I want to bring to you guys a little bit of a conversation that I had with a student today. So as usual, whenever anyone gets a one-on-one session or they get into the program, they ask questions. And today someone asked a damn good question and we had a full-on conversation about it. They wanted to understand stock split and what did it mean. They also asked me, okay, when a company does a stock split and they say, our shares are going to be much lower than what they are, does it mean that the company has been devalued? Does it mean that they're losing value? Any of that? And the answer is no. Okay, so let's look at what a stock split is first. The first thing is this. Let's look at Netflix. Okay, Netflix is about $1,100 at this moment, but let's just say hypothetically it's $1,000. A little bit easier to do the math. Okay, so if a company says, all right, our stock is skyrocketing, it's getting extremely expensive, and we want to make it a little bit more accessible for investors to get into full shares or just to buy shares in the company in general. Not everybody is just sitting on a band to be able to just buy one full share of a company. That's the beauty of fractional shares, right? Fractional, partial, where you can put as little as $5 into it. But the goal is to have one full share. So if the company is $1,000, let's say Netflix says we're going to do a 10-for-1 split. All right, 10-for-1. It's basically saying we're going to give you 10 shares for every one share that you hold. Now, don't get too excited. That don't mean that you're about to get 10 shares of $1,000 stock. If they do a split, that means that the value of that share is going to be split in half or split by 10 ways. And by 10 ways, if the stock is $1,000 and it's a 10-for-1, that means that if you have one full share in Netflix, you will now have 10 shares at the value of $100 per share. Okay, not 10 shares at $1,000. They're going to split that and they're going to divide that by 10. Okay, which is 10 shares, and it's going to be $100 per share. So the value of your investment will not decrease. The value of the company does not increase. The value of your investment remains the same before the split. The only difference is you now have more shares. So if Netflix says we're going to do a 2-for-1 split, that means that for every one share that you have, you will now have 2 after the split, because we're going to split the cost of that 1,000 in half. So now Netflix shares are $500 per share. All right, 10-for-1 split. Now their stock is $100 per share. Okay, that's just basically what that is. So anytime you see whatever number for one split, that just basically letting you know that they're about to cut this thing in half by 10, by 5, by 2, by 3, whatever that number is in the front. All right, so $1,000 becomes $500 per share, and a 2-for-1. And a 10-for-1, it becomes $100 per share. Okay, so that is just, it's very simple math, to be honest with you. Okay, it's just a matter of how many shares did you have, and then you multiply. If I had 2 shares of Netflix at $1,000 per share, and they do a 10-for-1 split, I would then have 20 shares in Netflix, but the value of my investment will still be the same. Now, think about it. If they decided, okay, with this split and we're giving you more shares, if the company decides to do a split and that pretty much entitled, giving their shareholders 10 shares at the same value of $1,000, they're giving away free money. That right there will devalue the company. That will put the company down. So it's not devaluing, it's not giving you more shares at the same price. It's just cutting down the cost and ensuring that your investment amount stays the same in the stock split. Therefore, instead of you having one, you will now have more shares, even with the company having a lower stock price. I hope that makes sense, okay? And the last question she asked me was fractional shares when it came to stock splits. The thing will still happen the same way, but you don't have one full share. So what happens? If you have a half of a share, when the stock split takes place, you won't get a full share. This will now turn into you having more fractional. So everything still works the same way, even when you have partial or fractional shares. It just doubles up how many fractional shares that you may have. Okay, so it still works the same. Depending on the company that you might have fractional shares in, depending on how low it will go, you might end up finding yourself with a full share. But that's very, very unlikely, because a lot of times when the stock splits happen, it's because the stock has just hit a certain point where it is now trying to dial back the cost to make it a little bit more affordable. Okay, so it it's very seldom that you'll see a company, let's just say if the company stock is $5 per share, you got $1 in it instead of a full $5. And depending on how far down they split that thing, it will possibly give you one full share if they were to do a 5-for-1 split. Right? You could potentially find yourself in that $1 investment turning into one full share with those fractional shares that you have. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so it's just like everything will still work the same way. It just looks a little bit different when you have fractional shares, right? So when it comes to stock splits, it's just basically you giving somebody a $20 bill and they giving you back 2 tens. All right, that's all it is. Or you giving somebody a $5 bill, they giving you back 5 1. Regardless of what you gave them and what they gave you, it is the same value but more bills. Okay, so in this case, it's just the same value but more shares in the company that you're holding. All right. So anytime you see that stock split, that just basically means the company is going to be issuing more shares, lowering the price of their stock, and now you just might have that opportunity to invest in a full share. So Netflix going from $1,000 to 100, you just might have $100 to be able to get a full share now. So you can now start buying full shares in Netflix or whatever company, because now it's much more attainable. To close this thing out, not all companies do this, okay? Let me give you guys, I don't know if you're new to the game, you're new to the stock market, okay? Berkshire and Hathaway, found by Warren Buffett, okay? The great Warren Buffett. Berkshire Hathaway has two stocks, okay? The first one, Berkshire A, is Berkshire A and Berkshire B. Berkshire A, their main stock, the first stock, is worth $758,000 per share. No exaggeration, okay? I'll pop it up somewhere here. That is a six-figure stock, okay? Who the hell did you know just have $758,000 just sitting around to buy this stock? Now, can you still invest in it? Absolutely. But that fractional share that you're going to buy is going to be a damn small fraction. And I do mean small. So the more you put into it, of course, the more you get. But they did not do a stock split. They literally let the stock keep rising. Okay, now Berkshire B is about $540, $550 at this moment. That is much more attainable for investors or just everyday investors like you and I. Now, instead of them doing a stock split, they did another security and released Berkshire B and put it on the stock market. So they did not do any stock splits there, and they just decided, okay, we're going to put another one on here, and this is going to be a little bit lesser. And I had them, someone asked about that as well. They said, well, what if it decides to go, it starts pushing up to $700,000? It's possible, okay? But it may take a little bit longer to do, because that $758,000 has taken place over years, okay, that Berkshire Hathaway has been on the market. So we don't know how long it will take for Berkshire B to even see that amount on the market. Okay, so even when stocks are becoming 500, 700, 1,000, they won't always do a stock split. But a lot of times we could possibly expect one to happen. It's just all up to the company doing it, all right? But not all of them will. So is it good to see them? Absolutely, because now we can get back into these companies at a much lower cost with the high probability that it just might run back up to where it originally was. And that gave us the opportunity to get into this thing at a lower cost this time instead of at that high cost, and hope that it hit 1,500, hope that it hit 2,000. Now a 10-for-1 split happens, just hypothetically. We got 4 shares at $100. We decide I want to put $100 into this thing a month in hopes that it runs back up to $1,000 and my investment is quadrupling. All right, so That is what a stock split is. And if you see them, or if you invested in a particular company and they said that they're doing a stock split, that is just a way to understand it. So now you know that if it's a 2-for-1, 5-for-1, 10-for-1, 20-for-1, 50-for-1, you know what you need to do. You will just simply divide that number, the stock price, by the amount that they're doing the stock split by. That will simply let you know how much those shares will now be and how many shares you will be getting after the split.